All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're going deep on something that might sound a little dry at first.
Yeah, definitely not the most exciting topic on the surface.
But trust me, when we get into U.S. gold reserves, there are some seriously wild twists and turns, and yeah, this could actually affect your wallet.
Absolutely. People don't always realize how these financial things can have a real impact.
Exactly. So, we're diving into this YouTube video, and it's got this title that just grabs you, like a good thriller. It's called U.S. Gold Reset Incoming. Fort Knox Audit Could Change Everything.
Catchy, right?
Yeah, it's from Smart Silver Stacker. And let me tell you, this video does not disappoint with the drama. We're talking like record high gold prices, whispers of a gold revaluation.
Oh, yeah, and don't forget that whole new U.S. sovereign wealth thing popping up. It's like, what's going on?
Right. It's a lot to unpack, and that's why we're here to figure out what it all means.
Exactly. Cut through the noise.
Okay, so the video kicks off by talking about these record gold prices. I mean, who isn't intrigued by the idea of their investments just taking off like a rocket? They even mentioned gold hit $2,935 an ounce recently. Can you believe that?
It's a big jump, yeah. I mean, thinking back, it wasn't that long ago you could buy gold for a fraction of that. The video even mentions these fractional gold notes. It's basically like buying tiny pieces of gold.
Yeah.
So it's a way to invest even if you don't have a ton of money.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I hadn't really thought about that fractional gold thing before. But then the video goes on to this idea of the U.S. monetizing its gold assets. And that's where I kind of got lost. What does that actually mean, like in real world terms?
Great question. It's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
So monetizing assets, it basically means turning something you own, in this case gold, into cash.
Okay, but how do they do that?
Well, there are a couple of ways the U.S. could do this, right? The first way everyone jumps to is selling off a chunk of their gold reserves.
Okay, I can see how that would get them cash, but wouldn't that be risky?
It could be. Think about the impact if the U.S., which holds the largest gold reserves in the world, suddenly floods the market. It could totally crash the price.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then what? What would they do with all that cash?
Exactly. That's the big question. Would they invest it in infrastructure, buy up other assets, maybe even crypto?
Whoa, hold on. The U.S. government buying crypto with gold money. That's a twist.
It's a possibility, but probably a long shot. A more likely scenario is that the U.S. keeps its gold but changes its value on their balance sheet. This is where things get a bit technical.
Okay, go for it. I'm listening.
Basically, it gives them more borrowing power, which could mean more debt, but it could also affect inflation and could be really good for anyone who owns gold.
More debt, but higher gold prices. That's a trade-off some people would probably be okay with.
Yeah, maybe. But remember, we're talking about the whole financial system here.
Right, right. Okay, so we've got selling the gold or changing its value. But the video also talks about repatriation, like all this gold flowing into the U.S. lately. And they're saying it might not just be because of tariffs. What if the U.S. is like hoarding it? Like they're getting ready for something big on the horizon?
Ooh, that's where things get really interesting. Gotta ask, why would the U.S. want to bring all this gold back? One theory is they might be thinking about a return to a gold-backed currency, like we had before '71.
Wait, gold-backed currency, hold up. What does repatriation even mean here?
It means bringing stuff back to its home country.
Yeah.
In this case, U.S. gold that's in other countries being brought back to the U.S.
Okay, got it. So back to this gold-backed currency thing. How would that even work?
Well, it means the U.S. dollar would be tied directly to the value of gold. Like every dollar you have, there'd be a matching amount of gold held by the government.
Interesting. So if the U.S. went back to a gold standard, what would that do to the price of gold? Would it go up?
Almost certainly. The video even throws out this crazy number, $80,000 an ounce.
$80,000 an ounce? Come on, is that even possible?
It's definitely a dramatic number, but to see how they got there, we need to dig a little deeper into how a gold-backed currency would actually work in practice.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
All right, so to figure that out, we need to know how much gold the U.S. actually has. And that's where things get kind of murky because, well, it brings us to the mystery of Fort Knox.
Fort Knox, huh? Always makes me think of those heist movies.
Yeah, it's got that whole mysterious vibe for sure.
Like, seriously, is it really packed with gold or is it all just smoke and mirrors?
It's definitely shrouded in secrecy. I mean, the last real audit they did was way back in the 70s, and even then it was more like a photo op than anything else.
So no one actually knows how much gold is really in there.
Nope, not for sure.
Which makes that $80,000 an ounce figure even more mind-blowing. I mean, if we don't know how much gold the U.S. has, how can anyone calculate what it would be worth if they backed the dollar with it?
That's the problem, right? But let's, for a moment, just assume the official numbers are correct, and the U.S. does have those 8,133 tons of gold.
Okay, I'm following.
So to back all the U.S. dollars out there with that gold, you divide the total value of all those dollars by the amount of gold.
Okay, so divide all the dollars by all the gold, and that gives you $80,000 an ounce. That seems like a crazy jump from where it is now.
It is a huge jump, and that's exactly why so many people are skeptical. They think that $80,000 number is way too high, either because the U.S. doesn't actually have that much gold, or because a fully gold-backed dollar just wouldn't work in today's world.
So back to Fort Knox for a sec. You said the last audit was in the 70s. That's ancient history. Haven't people been demanding a new one?
Oh, absolutely. Tons of people want a new independent audit of Fort Knox.
Makes sense to me.
And it's not just, the conspiracy theory crowd. Yeah. Even big names like Elon Musk and Rand Paul have said they want an audit.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Rand Paul's dad, Ron Paul, push for a Fort Knox audit for years?
He did. He even tried to get a bill passed in Congress to make it happen. His whole thing was transparency. He said the American people deserve to know what's going on with their gold.
Yeah, it's trillions of dollars we're talking about. We should be able to make sure it's actually there, right?
Totally. Transparency is huge. But there's also the question of what an audit might uncover. Like, what if things don't add up? What if the gold isn't there? Or what if, and some people think this, what if they've been secretly adding to the gold reserves?
Okay, now we're getting into national treasure territory.
Yeah, maybe not quite that dramatic, but the results of a Fort Knox audit could definitely be a bombshell.
All right, so let's play this out. They do an audit, and everything's legit. The gold's all there, all 8,133 tons of it. Does that mean a gold-backed dollar is actually going to happen?
Not necessarily. Even if a gold is there, there's still a lot of logistical and economic stuff to figure out. First off, you'd have to decide on an official price for gold.
Right, which would affect everything.
Yeah, exactly. It would have a huge impact on the entire global financial system. Then there's the issue of how you'd handle the ups and downs of the gold market. Like, would the dollar's value go up and down with the price of gold? That could cause a lot of instability.
Yeah, good point. A gold-backed dollar sounds good at first, but it could get messy.
For sure. It's definitely not a simple fix. And remember, the gold standard wasn't perfect. It actually played a role in the Great Depression.
I see what you mean. So maybe a gold-backed dollar isn't the answer, but this whole conversation has definitely got me thinking about gold in a different way. If it's not backing currencies, why do countries even bother with these huge gold reserves?
That's a question a lot of people are asking. And to answer it, we got to zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Okay, let's zoom out.
Gold isn't just something pretty that people wear. It's been a way to store value for centuries. It's a protection against inflation, a safe haven when things get uncertain. And in a world where currencies are losing value and trust in government is eroding, it makes sense that gold is back in the spotlight.
Yeah, like that saying, gold is money, everything else is credit. Even if it's not directly tied to currencies, it still has a lot of power.
Right. And that brings us back to the U.S. and all their gold. If other countries are stacking up gold and relying less on the dollar, that puts pressure on the U.S. to hold on to its own gold. It's almost like a financial arms race.
So the U.S. is feeling the pressure, watching these other countries buy up gold. Is that why there's all this talk about a gold revaluation or even going back to a gold-backed dollar? Is it a way for the U.S. to, stay on top in the financial world?
It could be. A gold revaluation where the U.S. officially says their gold is worth more would instantly make the dollar stronger.
Yeah.
It would be like saying, hey, we're still the big dog when it comes to gold, so don't mess with us.
So like it's this kind of secret gold war going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, you could say that. And there are a few reasons these countries are piling up gold. One is diversification.
Yeah.
For decades, the U.S. dollar has been the king, but it's not as strong as it used to be.
Right.
So countries are looking for other options. And gold is a solid choice.
Makes sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Plus, gold has this level of security you don't get with other things. It's real, it's limited, and everyone agrees it's valuable. It's not like stocks or, it's subject to the whims of politicians.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate safe haven, especially when things are uncertain.
Right. And that brings us back to the U.S. and all that gold they have. If other countries are loading up on gold and using the dollar less, it puts pressure on the U.S. to keep their gold stash big. It's like they have to keep up.
So the U.S. is feeling the pressure watching all this gold move around. Is that why everyone's talking about a gold revaluation? Or even going back to a gold-backed dollar? Is it a way for the U.S. to, flex its muscles on the world stage?
It's possible. A gold revaluation, where the U.S. says, hey, our gold is actually worth way more now, would make the dollar stronger instantly. It would be a power move for sure.
Like a way of saying, we're still in charge.
Exactly. And it wouldn't just be symbolic. A gold revaluation could have a big impact on the economy. It could even help with the U.S. debt problem and give them more power in trade deals.
Wow, okay. So a gold revaluation could be a strategic move for the U.S. to hold on to its global power. But what about a gold-backed dollar? Is that really a possibility?
It's hard to say. Like we discussed, there are a lot of obstacles to making that happen, but it's not impossible. In fact, with the way things are going in the global economy, some experts think it's more likely now than ever.
Yeah, you've got crazy debt levels everywhere, currency is all over the place. Something's got to give eventually.
Right. And when things get shaky, people want something they can trust, something stable. And what's more stable than gold?
It's like that old saying, when the tide goes out, you find out who's been swimming naked. Maybe gold is what survives when the rest of the system falls apart.
That's a pretty vivid image, but it makes you think, right? Gold has always held its value through tough times. It's been around for centuries, and it's not going away anytime soon.
So, with all this talk of U.S. gold and power struggles and potential financial chaos, what's the takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about after this deep dive?
Here's something to chew on. Don't get caught up in the fear and uncertainty. Focus on what you can control.
Okay, I like that.
Learn about gold's role in the financial world. Think about the pros and cons of investing in it. And most importantly, think for yourself. Don't just believe everything you hear in the news or from so-called experts. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Be ready for whatever happens. Knowledge is power.
Couldn't agree more. Especially when it comes to money. You're not just listening anymore. You're a deep diver now. You've got the knowledge to make smart decisions about your financial future. So keep digging, keep asking questions, keep learning,